Beach FM, locals talking to locals.
Michael Scott, Waikanae Ward Councillor. First time this year. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning, Nigel.
Welcome to the program. You're busy working committee meetings already, are you?
So we've already had a public art briefing which started at 8:30 this morning until 9. Some exciting concept design stuff for down at McLean Park, chosen by our public art panel. Just extraordinary amount of work being put in there. Early concepts, but great to see that work to start the year off.
So whereabouts is that going to be installed, Michael?
So that is still actually to be determined because of the McLean Park upgrade plan that's now in place. Anything that's done will have to be done in such a way as to not undermine the authenticity of that plan. At this stage, it's early days, but it looks like it will involve some lights and some water and a whale and some archways and things like that. All very, very new and all very concept-based at this point, but a great start to see the panel working so well.
Good. Now, that sort of leads on to our sculptures and art in Mahara Place. There's a bit of a stink about that, but really those who are complaining about it, I think, are a little bit back behind the times, aren't they?
So look, they are back behind the times. Entirely appreciate why they're complaining. When I first got involved with council, that activity was being finished. It was paid for by people like the artists themselves. Community funds were raised. Both the Lions and the Rotary were involved. There is absolutely no plan anywhere that I can see that says we're going to remove it. There were some initial concepts done in the very early days of the development work by the consultants for Mahara Place, which questioned its long-term existence. But there hasn't been any move by staff, certainly nothing from councillors or the community board to take any steps other than enhance that sculpture garden. Certainly the idea that it's going to be taken down is just crazy. I was amused by the fact that people might chain themselves to it. I thought that could have been interesting and done perhaps as a fundraiser. Yeah. You know how you have the coconut shy. Well, we could have simply had sponges thrown at them, but on a realistic level, no. There's no plan to touch it, and I think we've got bigger fish to fry than that one.
Right. Well, I thought the people who were going to change themselves there were the ones who wanted it. Or did I get the wrong end of the rope there, did I?
No, they're the people who wanted it.
Oh, good,
and I'm just saying, well, look, lovely gesture, but not necessary. There's some other things we could chain you to.
Oh, I see.
Which are more likely to engender some public reaction. I suppose I'm being a bit naughty because it's the first day of council, but realistically, Nigel, the message that we need to get out to the Waikanae community is there is absolutely and utterly no plan whatsoever to take or change that sculpture garden.
Excellent. Now, I went and actually had a look at that again yesterday before I talked to you about it, just to really get a full impression. I spoke to several people about it, and they were all in favour. But then I said, now, what do you think about this nice little bit of green artificial grass and seats and that and all that sort of thing? They said, it's fantastic. It's done so much for them all already. So there was somebody complaining about that as well.
Look, we've had a couple of people complain that the seats look a bit ranch style. It never ceases to amaze me. There are people in our community who could not be satisfied no matter what you did for them. For the expenditure of $6,000 or $7,000, we've got that grass, we've got some large seats which are made out of packing cases. That's because they're robust, and if they happen to get broken, we can just make some more. And of course, we've got bean chairs. I secretly went out and tried one of those beanbag chairs, Nigel, and I felt very replete sitting there looking in the sun, but my God, it was undignified getting out of it.
We won't ask any more about that. But that's what the town needs to revitalise it, doesn't it? It brings in the younger people and they enjoy it.
Look, my office overlooks Red Square. The number of children in the afternoon who are there, but the number of people over the summer who have stopped and sat there, and in particular, older people who've got onto the bean chairs or sat in the chairs or simply sat on the grass and had their coffee, who've played with their grandchildren and have really enjoyed it. It's been a fabulous advance, and I think we need another piece of grass is between the hot bread shop and the Sunday cantina.
Right. Now, I see last night's paper, Kapiti News, dogs want to be free in the forest. That's in Waikanae Park, and I'm dead against that. In fact, I put in an application, no, what do you call it, a paper that the council are looking for comments from people about dogs in Kapiti. But I go running through that park and I get sick and tired of people's dogs coming up and chasing you or barking at you. You know, it's not really the right place for dogs to be free. That's my opinion.
So, look, the problem with dogs is they engender all sorts of different views. I, of course, have a little Jack Russell who spends her time behind the fence or on her lead. People who want to exercise their dogs tend to do it, in my experience, by letting them off and letting them run mad and standing there and watching them. The problem is that they do worry other people. They do run up to other people. Waikanae Park's a park for horses, for sport, for all sorts of other activities. My own view, and it's purely personal, I haven't come to any end decision in relation to any submissions, but my own personal view is that Waikanae Park is not the right place for off-the-leash exercise.
No, but they can still have their say because the dog control bylaw, which is currently under review, you can put in your submission on that. So, and I put in my submission, as I say, my thoughts, but then again, there's people who love their dogs and they want to see them running around. Likewise, I said on the northern side of the Waikanae River, I think they should always be on the leash there too. Southern side's okay. I mean, it's fairly well out of their way, but on the northern side where there's lots of people and kids, I don't think they should be off the leash there either. That's just my thoughts.
Look, I think that the important point, Nigel, is the one that you made first, and that is that submissions are still open. And we want to hear from people. Council puts out papers for consultation, not for the sake of it, but because we actually want to hear what people think. And dogs is always a very divisive issue. Dogs is always an issue where it's kind of a love them or hate them. But I think there does need to be a balance between those areas where dogs can run free and those areas where there's a close interaction for people. I know, for example, that Mahara Place is a no-dog area, and there is some agitation for one or two people to be able to have their dogs in there. It never ceases to amaze me, the people who ignore the sign and take their dogs anyway. But no dogs in Mahara Place is for a really good reason. There are lots of children and lots of older people. We don't want an accident.
Now, any more development on the town centre at all in Waikanae?
So town centre discussions are ongoing. Council has been working with a number of the shopkeepers on the concept plan for the update of Freighter Lane, so that they've talked to all of the businesses around there about what some planters and road changes might look like. And my expectation is that by March there will be kind of an end point consultation with the community in relation to what the road changes might look like before those final submissions come back to council for decisions.
Any comment from the shopkeepers of how their Christmas trade went this year? I was just thinking, compared to other years with the expressway now in full swing, it looked to be busier than ever to me. But
it certainly looked to be busier than ever. I think the advantage we had was that most businesses kind of finished on the Friday, and we had Saturday, Sunday as well for trading. I haven't seen the place as busy over that 3-day period as it was for a very long time. Look, I hope it benefited our retailers because I know from talking to people like my friend James Westbury that shopkeepers rely on that important Christmas trade and that important lead up into January often to give the business the fat that it needs in order to run for the leaner time in the year. So, look, I really hope it worked. I think that the parking changes seem to be working. There seem to be more car parks available, more availability for people to stop in businesses, and more commuters getting the message that they need to be parking in the regional council car park.
Great. And the swimming pool has just been inundated with people enjoying themselves there. Any complaints or anything like that from people about the facilities?
So no, quite the contrary. Waikanae continues to be blessed by its beautiful outdoor pool, and the weather has simply been stunning for it. Even when we've had a little bit of drizzly days, we've still had plenty of people there. We've got a long run yet for the pool to be used. I do emphasise that it's a community asset. People need to use it if we want to keep it, and it's certainly been something that has been well patronised. It's great to see people using the slide that was paid for by the interest on the Capital Improvement Fund.
Just before you dash off, I know you're busy, up on the Hemimatangi side I see there's a lot of development high up on the hill there. Is that a new subdivision or a story up there? Do you know that?
So there's a whole lot of new sections that have been opened up on there. They seem to be very high on the hill. The views are going to be stunning, but we're going to need to make sure they blend in with that hill development. It's also meaning that as we push towards Hadfield Road, the need for a more permanent second crossing becomes more necessary, and that's on the agenda to talk to staff about in the next couple of weeks.
Michael, we thank you for your busy time today, and talk to you in the next fortnight or so.
Nigel, it's always good to be on Beach FM, and Happy New Year to our listeners.
106.3 Beach FM.